Hi, my name is Beer, and let's start with Gamedec.
This is a single-player, non-combat cyberpunk RPG. You are a game detective who solves crimes inside virtual worlds by using your wits to gather information from your witnesses and suspects. Also get to the bottom of deceptive schemes, save lives and investigate the relationships between virtual worlds and their inhabitants. The game continually adapts to your choices and never judges, just like your dog does. Also, it sounds a bit like Disco Elysium, and that's a great thing. Although keep in mind that here you will not find any battles and no fighting is available. Pick it up only if you like to read and carefully analyze sentences in dialogues.
A vampire.
Guess, who are you going to be in this game? A doctor, and I am not even joking. Of course, you will be a vampire here as well. These are difficult times, no one can survive having only one profession. You are not that evil here, but you can choose to kill or rather devour good people and get stronger in the process. You will have to fight against vampire hunters, undead and other supernatural creatures with your own supernatural abilities. People on Steam really enjoy this game's atmosphere, music and voice acting as well. The only thing the game lacks is the freedom. Well, they provide you with many choices, but when you think about it, they don't really matter that much. Middle-earth: Shadow of War. As people say, this game is a mix of Batman, Assassin's Creed, The Witcher and Tetris. Why Tetris, you ask? As I always say, in this game, just like in Tetris, enemies will come at you in all shapes and sizes at different speeds and you will have to make them disappear if you want to survive. See, Middle-earth is just like Tetris. Deal with it. Here the visuals and the world captures the essence of Middle-earth absolutely perfectly. You know, in the same way like potato salad captures your taste buds, just like that. If you are a fan of Tolkien's world, this game will make you an addict. This is a real orc-killing simulator after all. The story is also nice to say the least, and combat is very satisfying. You will feel as a bit overpowered combat god, but that won't affect the gameplay itself. You will always get some really hard adversaries to test the strength of your mental balls. Don't be shy, have them big and hairy so your enemies would die from fear alone. The Thaumaturge. This is an isometric, story-rich, turn-based combat RPG. The year is 1905. The city of Warsaw lives under the rule of imperial hands. Its inhabitants constitute a diverse group of different ancestries, views and beliefs with often conflicting interests: soldiers, merchants, simple townspeople and more. Despite the circumstances, the city is a buzzing metropolis where you can attend a breathtaking party with the high society and later get robbed in one of the dark alleys. Well, sounds like any city today, but there is a catch. You are some kind of a warlock, a thaumaturge as they are called here, because you inherited the power to tame magical entities. You will utilize their mystical abilities to discover secrets hidden within the human soul and speak to the darkness itself. People are saying that the game has a great story, has complex but easy to learn combat and is set in a relatively open world. The only flaw here, in my eyes, is that the game is set in Poland and not in Cold Bieristan. But no one is perfect. Kynseed. In this life sim, you will have to raise a family, farm the land, run shops, and explore a world where everyone ages. Yes, here you will live your life in a quirky world where everyone dies at the end, including your pets. What a great idea to make everyone happy, right? Anyway, heroes here are just like degrading weapons in Dying Light. When you break one, you can just take another. So no reason to be sad, because when you die here, you step into the shoes of your children and continue your legacy. And then you die again, and then you continue again. Cool thing is that developers are still updating the game and not just fixing various bugs, but also adding various fun things like farmhouse customization, new challenge system with rewards, story cutscenes, and so on. On Steam, where it is possible to see playtime of reviewers, 100 hours is quite a casual thing. In general, this is a really cool spin on classic farming sim games, with so much to do and so much to see. From crafting and running a business to exploring the wilderness and meeting some marvelously malevolent monsters, Kynseed has it all. Lies of P. In this Souls-like game, you are a puppet who's caught in a web of lies with monsters and untrustworthy figures. You are awakened by a mysterious voice that guides you through a plagued city of Krat, a once lively place that has been poisoned by madness and bloodlust. If this description reminds you of your ex, then all good, you are half ready for the adventure. Here you will develop a unique combat style to counter your enemies by weaving together dynamic weapon combinations and activating new abilities. Lies of P is a reimagined fairy tale of Pinocchio, reinterpreted as a dark, grim narrative. You know, a Pinocchio for adults. When you lie, it's not the nose that's growing. If you add another P to the name of the game, you will understand what I have in mind. No, really, nothing like that, it's a joke. I played the demo version of the game and all I gathered was, again, that I suck at Souls-like games and I shouldn't even touch them. If you are like me, avoid this title. Few hits from big enemies and you are dead, and you will have to replay the whole chapter again. If that doesn't scare you, keep in mind that the game has around 90% of the positive review score and is probably a thing you want to try. Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales. This is a single-player RPG set in the world of The Witcher that combines narrative-driven exploration with unique puzzles and card battle mechanics. Well, some sort of a mishmash of different things, but so is potato salad, so expect the best. The game spins a truly regal tale of Meve, a war veteran and queen of two northern realms, Lyria and Rivia. Facing an imminent invasion from Nilfgaard, she is forced once again to enter the warpath and set out on a dark journey of destruction and revenge. Well, honestly, if Nilfgaard changed the N in this name to M, they can invade anyone anytime they want. Just saying, nobody would resist. People are saying that the writing here is amazing, although the game itself is so unusual that sometimes it may be hard to really get into the gameplay. But don't let that discourage you, the review score is over the roof and most players who bought the game are recommending it for you, and so do I. Show those MILF Guardians who's the boss. South Park, The Stick of Truth. From the perilous battlefields of the Fourth Great Playground, a young hero will rise, destined to be the South Park's savior. For 1,000 years, the battle has been waged. The sole reason humans and elves are locked in a never-ending war is the Stick of Truth. But the tides of war are soon to change as word of a new kid spreads throughout the land, his coming foretold by the stars. Anyway, you'll arm yourself with the weapons of legend to defeat underpants gnomes, hippies, vegans, and other forces of evil. If you succeed in your perilous mission, you shall become South Park's savior, and if you fail, you will forever be known, you know, whoever you are right now. No offense. Cyberpunk 2077. Finally, Cyberpunk 2077 has become a great game. Recent reviews on Steam are always above 90%, and the main score climbed to the very positive tier. After many years in mixed and later in mostly positive category, this is an achievement of really hard work and dedication. CD Projekt Red, by releasing an undercooked game, has made probably the biggest mistake of their lives, but they are slowly climbing up, although the stock value of the company is still in ruins. After the flop of the game, CD Projekt Red lost about a third of company's value, and so far nothing has changed despite the amazing comeback of Cyberpunk. And the game itself is a wet dream of anyone who likes single-player RPG games, but it also has some really annoying flaws as well. Despite being set in a GTA-like world, here you cannot fly. That is sad. Anyway, the campaign is more than awesome. 11 cold beers out of 10. Remnant 2. This is the sequel to Remnant from the Ashes, best known as Dark Souls with guns. The game pits survivors of humanity against new deadly creatures and godlike bosses across beautiful but menacing worlds. Here you can travel alone or with friends as a team and explore strange new worlds and beyond, overrun by mythical creatures while trying to stay alive. There are multiple worlds to explore with different types of creatures, weapons and items. Game has branching quest lines, augments, crafting and loot rewards that will test the resolve of even the most hardened players in dynamically generated dungeons and areas. Most of the players are saying that the second part is better than the first one, meaning that developers learned from their past mistakes and made an actually awesome game. Valheim. Most of us can remember the hype it caused on release date, and the hype is well deserved. This game is really a masterpiece with a review score never, at least on Steam, never below 90%. It may scare you that the game is still in early access after all those years, but if you focus on the main objectives only, it will still provide you with more than 70 hours of gameplay. And in general, Valheim is a brutal exploration and survival game for 1 to 10 players, set in a procedurally generated world inspired by Norse mythology. You will craft powerful weapons, construct longhouses, grow your balls and slay mighty foes to prove yourself to Odin. Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms. As people are saying, it's like Diablo, Dark Souls and Baldur's Gate in one. Set in an interesting fantasy world, Alaloth is based on fast-paced action and a deep narrative. As developers say, it brings action RPG dynamics to a new level, with skill-based gameplay inspired by great classics and modern games. So in other words, it is inspired by everything, and probably that's why it has only a mostly positive review score on Steam, with less than 80% of positive reviews. But not all bad reviews are legit. For example, one guy is complaining that he can't find where to turn in quest items, and then he is just steamrolled over by developers who said that they wrote 300,000 words for a reason. So the guy literally skipped all the hints and then wrote a bad review. What a giant pussy. Dude, I don't know, go play Scorn and run around with that bleeding hand instead if you want to understand the true meaning of confusion.
Iron Danger.
This is a tactical combat game with a very cool time manipulation mechanic that blends the tactical depth of the turn-based games with the action of real-time strategy. You'll be in control of two characters and will use a variety of skills and your IQ to overcome the challenges. I'm not gonna lie, I tried the game and my brain was overheating all the time. The core of Iron Danger is its unique time control mechanic. You can rewind time for up to 5 seconds whenever you want, trying different strategies and combinations of moves until you find the right one for the task. Your characters can only take 2 or 3 hits at maximum before they die, so you will be rewinding all the time. In general, you can't really die here if you choose to. This is a curse and a blessing in one. Anyway, this price is really nice, although the game can become a bit grindy and repetitive. Keep that in mind as well. Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2. These are great titles, and if you like classic Baldur's Gate or Icewind Dale, you probably have heard about the games already. But have you heard that Pillars of Eternity saved the Obsidian studio from bankruptcy? They had a really bad experience with their big-budget Xbox One exclusive game named Stormlands. Well, long story short, publisher cancelled the game and Obsidian had to lay off 30 people. And honestly, I'm pretty sure that the reason for cancelling was the main hero's haircut. You just can't approve of something like that. That's a fact, it burned my eyes already. So the studio was devastated and they decided to play the last card in their hand, and that card was a Kickstarter campaign. You know, if you want to ace the project, you still have to create at least the first level of the game, and it should work on a certain level so you could show off what you got. The campaign was unbelievably successful. Crowdfunding raised more than $4 million, pledged by only 74,000 people. You know, most of the people who like Baldur's Gate now are kinda old and automatically kinda rich. So if you target rich grown-ups with their nostalgic fantasy, there is a huge chance that you will succeed. Anyway, in Pillars of Eternity you become a hero and save people from a scary phenomenon known as Hollowborn. People are being born without a soul, so I guess they can't sell it to the devil and get nice things. What a robbery! But you will fix everything, don't worry.
I want to buy your soul.
Alright, $50.
No, too expensive.
SpellForce 3 Loyalty Pack. This is the best deal to buy SpellForce games. All 3 major releases in one bundle, meaning that if you buy SpellForce 3 Reforced and one standalone expansion, you get another standalone expansion for free. When not on sale, any SpellForce 3 standalone expansion is priced €20, so more than all 3 games combined now. And the title itself is the best thing a Warcraft 3 RTS fan could ever get. It's basically the same, just more oriented to RPG side, because your heroes here are way more important and unique than in Warcraft 3. Also, games are heavily story-oriented, so be prepared for pages and pages of dialogues. They are quite interesting, just be prepared that the game's pace is really slow, like your sister. Elex 1 and 2. Alright, so Elex and Elex 2 are made by the same people who created Gothic games, and if you are an old-school gamer, this information should spark real interest into your heart. It is set in a post-apocalyptic science fantasy universe full of original characters, deep moral choices, and dinosaurs. Yeah, you can be slain by a Penisoraptor here. Well, they may be called differently in-game, but anyone who slays you is a total dick, that's for sure. Also, here you'll have a jetpack, and that is amazing because you can explore not only horizontally but also erect yourself vertically and find some nice treasures hidden high up the hills. The novelty which distinguishes Elex from the first game the most is an entire system of aerial combat, with all its benefits including enemies with an improved AI. Gloomhaven. At first this was made as a tabletop game, and as it reached incredible popularity it was remade into a video game as well. It has all the features of dungeon crawlers like Darkest Dungeon, but stands out of the rest with a cool twist of 3D setting. So here you will lead your band of mercenaries through this unforgiving place where every move is crucial. Yeah, you sneeze, you die. No, probably not, but you get the point. You will have to carve your way through dungeons, forests and dark caves filled with horrific monsters to reap your rewards, or die trying, possibly the latter, over and over again. People are talking that this game will surprise you with the amount of unique monsters, high replay value and 100 hours of content, but it can scare you away with its very steep learning curve, so don't expect anything easy, it's not your sister. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. With a name like that, you probably wouldn't expect violence, blood and partial nudity in this action RPG looter-shooter, but this is what this game is all about, because it is a spin-off of the Borderlands. First Tiny Tina's Adventure was a DLC for the original Borderlands that came out in 2013. Later it was released as a standalone game and flopped massively. It has mixed reviews on Steam, so developers decided to take another shot. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a first-person shooter fantasy RPG game, which is not a very common thing these days, and for that only deserves your attention. Tyranny. In a realm where the tyrant has already won, you must decide how to reshape the world. Will you become an all-powerful dictator, or will you strengthen the pillars of a new regime? You are not a random villager here. In fact, you will wield a vast amount of power in the occupied lands. So basically, you are some kind of a Littlefinger. Just be careful to not end up like Littlefinger as well. So in Tyranny, your actions really matter, and no decision here is truly black or white.
Or Asian.
The choices here are morally obscure and will never let you out of the situation easily. People on Steam really love that this game is very detailed and the world itself feels alive and immersive. The combat might be challenging, but it is fair, since it rewards the players who take the time to strategize. Just be warned that Tyranny is more like a book. Be ready for the walls of text everywhere you go. Hogwarts Legacy. I had a lot of fun playing this game. All in all, Hogwarts Legacy was one of the few games that actually survived the hype train and never crashed anywhere. The game has above 90% of positive reviews on Steam, and I would give the game 10 cold beers out of 10 without much thinking. The world is very detailed, quests are handcrafted and fun, magic truly feels like magic, and the world is really open. Although the map is shaped like a bow, very narrow and long, but that's maybe a thing of a lore. I don't know, I have never read the books, only seen the movies. Only thing that actually spoiled the game a bit was how soon I got the ability to fly. That absolutely crashed the exploration on foot part. Flying in Hogwarts is awesome, but I would have given this ability way later in the game. The variety of enemies also could be wider, but hey, it's a great game. You have all my recommendations. Elden Ring. The game is balanced for those who like Souls-like games, but it is possible to play for people without masochistic tendencies as well. The game is a bit easier than Dark Souls, but just keep in mind that despite that, it is really challenging and you will be dying all the time. Although this time it's an open world and you can go wherever you want. And the game doesn't hold your hand or penis, so you are free to go and explore various places. You may ask, how to know where to go then? Well, you will know, believe me. If you put your nose in the wrong area, you will die a little bit quicker than in other places. Anyway, the world is beautiful, enemies are really original, and you may not have a lot of fun here, but the atmosphere of the game will forever stay with you. Elden Ring is not something you can easily forget about. Wartales. It has been 100 years since the world saw the fall of the once great Edoran Empire at the hands of an unprecedented plague that swept the nation. So prepare to lead a group of characters in a huge open world where combat, death and thirst for riches will shape and define your day-to-day life. You are not a special chosen one ushering in a new era of peace. Nah, your goal is solely to survive, well, and thrive in this harsh and hostile land. You can recruit from the vast array of new companions with numerous unique skill sets and weapon preferences, resulting in a plethora of possible builds. You will accept contracts that will take you on a task to defend, liberate and save the many inhabitants of the land for money. You are not a hero, remember? Also here you will be able to collect bounties, from the most insignificant pathetic thieves to the land's most notorious figures. There is no such thing as a profit too small to take. Very wise words, probably many times spoken by Quark from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Monster Hunter World. You'll take on the role of a hunter and slay ferocious monsters in a living ecosystem, where you can use the landscape and its diverse inhabitants to get the upper hand. You can hunt alone or in co-op with up to 3 other players, and use materials collected from fallen foes to craft new gear. There are 14 different weapons at your disposal, each with its own unique characteristics and styles of attack. Many hunters acquire proficiency in multiple types, while others prefer to attain mastery of one. Monster Hunter World has 87% of positive reviews on Steam, left by more than 200,000 players. Incredible achievement. Solasta, Crown of the Magister. You'll discover the shattered world of Solasta, explore ruins and dungeons for legendary treasures, learn the truth of an age-old cataclysm and stop it from happening again. You will be able to create your own party of adventurers in the classic tabletop RPG tradition. The choices you will make while choosing various skills, traits and backstories of your heroes will reflect in their dialogue. You know, if some of them are born in Potato Saladistan, they will always be enemies with the guys who put pineapple in their potato salad. And with these characters you will dive into long-forgotten dungeons to unearth ancient artifacts. But stay watchful of light and darkness. Many dangers hide in the dark, but a light can attract monsters as well. Some enemies have dark vision, some may flee from your torch, but, you know, as I always say, the best way to light your way is with fireballs. It doesn't really matter if your enemies have dark vision or not, a fried monster is always better than a raw monster. So the game is pure treasure for a CRPG fans, and also it includes Dungeon Manager, so you can make your own stories and maps, or play some good ones created by way more talented people than you. Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. The game was released in 2012, but 10 years later it was remastered and sold, you know the drill, as a new game with a price of a new game. Everyone was raging, but now it's not a problem anymore. The game itself is designed by the Elder Scrolls Oblivion lead designer Ken Ralston, and set in a world with a lore of 10,000 years of fiction created by New York Times bestselling author R.A. Salvatore, or however his name is pronounced. I don't know him, but he's obviously very good. So this is a huge open world game, although be warned that some players sometimes encounter game-breaking bugs. Anyway, the game itself is really good, so you may want to risk it. Greedfall Gold Edition. Here you'll have a complete freedom in character progression. Play as a male or female, customize your appearance and freely choose your abilities, spells and skills. But do not expect miracles, this is not a highest level RPG, although it looks like one. Greedfall was created in 3 years and its budget was about $5 million. For a AAA open world game like this, it's the bare minimum for it to be decent, so treat it more like a very expensive indie game instead. Somewhat similar budget had the Kingdom Come Deliverance team, and Skyrim's budget was about 100 million. For it you can literally create 20 games like Greedfall, so keep that in mind before you start comparing Greedfall with the giants of the genre. And this version, Greedfall Gold Edition, includes a DLC, so this is a better version of the game if you compare it with just the basic Greedfall. It is a decent game, and as I've said many times, I would give it about 7 cold beers out of 10. Deflector. This is a top-down action roguelite where you dive deep into hostile worlds teeming with viruses. You will encounter increasingly challenging enemies with your weapons and their own deflected projectiles. You will also have to choose one of several bioshells, each with unique weapons, abilities and means of deflecting projectiles. You know, the name of the game is not just a fancy word. It's your profession, I guess. I can even imagine the job listing for the task.
Must have at least 50 years experience of deflecting. Have to speak native level of Spanish, English, Lithuanian, Ukrainian and Mandarin. Must be proactive, must have experience of koala breeding, taming ostriches and at least PhD in quantum physics. Salary €3 an hour.
To be honest, all the job ads sounds this way. So here every world you'll visit is filled with unique hostile fauna, ready to swarm you with their pathetic bodies and stingy bullets. The game is difficult and dying here will be your daily routine. Every enemy is deadly, from the smallest stuff to the imposing apex virus at the end of each world. But don't you worry, you will learn to overcome every foe through trial and error. Well, honestly, probably not, I'm just being nice, but you may have fun anyway. The review score is close to 90%, so if you like the style, think of getting it. Wytchwood. This is a crafting adventure set in an expressive land of gothic fables and fairy tales. As the mysterious old witch of the woods, you will have to explore a strange countryside, collect magical ingredients, brew sorcerous enchantments, and pass your twisted judgment upon a capricious cast of characters and creatures. You know, the forest inhabitants has to respect you, and by respect, I mean fear. Nah, just kidding. Or am I? Yeah, yes I am. This is a wonderful handcrafted game, but don't let the joyful facade fool you. The game is quite complex. You will have to collect, gather, grow and craft bizarre ingredients like bottled fear. Don't mix it up with your daily morning gulp of whiskey. You will spend your day trembling under the table. Anyway, you will research and concoct devious spells and sorceries. Turn the greedy into frogs or into something way worse, like pineapples. Trick the wicked with cunning curses and explore an allegorical world of tales. Uncover colorful personas and interesting magic-infused narratives. People who play this game a lot are saying that it is very cozy, funny and beautiful game, although a bit too easy and dialogue sometimes feel endless. Biomutant. This is a game for a younger audience, and honestly I don't know if this discount is good enough for you to buy it. You know, for your nephew for example. I bought it on release date for the full price, because I was kinda assured by their advertising that this is a game for all ages and, you know, I felt for it. So I just checked. I have 2.8 hours of game time. Yeah, for 60 euros that was a very expensive deal for me. I paid more than 20 euros for an hour. I'm not a very smart person, so Biomutant is an open world post-apocalyptic Kung Fu style RPG. It has a unique martial arts style combat system allowing you to mix melee, shooting and mutant ability action. And you are some kind of raccoon here and you have to save the world. The best thing for me here was an off-screen narrator who was often making jokes. And some of these jokes were really funny. I would give this game like 6 beers out of 10. It's not bad, but it's definitely not for grumpy adults like me. Wildermyth. Game has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, meaning that it is close to a masterpiece and it is blasphemy to ignore it. Literally, you will burn in hell of your religion of choice if you at least don't watch the short overview of Wildermyth till the end. Or for an atheist, you'll find cat hairs in your coffee all the time, even if you don't own a cat. Way worse than hell. So like the best tabletop role-playing experiences, this game gives you choices and answers your every decision with consequences that drive your characters forward. The best thing is that all heroes here will die someday. Yeah, that is probably not the best thing to be honest, but here you'll get to hold on to your favorites, reintroduce them in the next adventure, and over many lifetimes you create your own legendary pantheon. This game is truly great. Dark Envoy. This is a non-linear RPG with free world exploration and emphasis on tactical combat layered with lore and strategy. You'll explore the world using Skyship, your base of operations, and watch how the world changes based on your decisions and actions. In Dark Envoy's world, locations will randomly respawn, becoming progressively more challenging to travel, so you have to think hard before you choose your traveling direction. I know it can hurt a bit, because thinking is not what you practice on a daily basis, but don't be scared, once you try it, you can't stop anymore. The game really shines in the field of visuals. It looks beautiful, and that is because developers try to do their best.
And now, thank you for watching, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time. Also, subscribe. Just do it. Bye.